Live. We're waiting for it says that we're live, guys. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. My name's Dave, obviously. And this whoa. Pete, I think that is you.
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh my god.
There.
Perfect. So guys, hey everybody, welcome. If you're here, throw us a little love in the chat. Obviously, you are here tonight because we were talking photography. Now, joining me is someone who I've explored their photography expertise and also equipment for as long as I've been in the hobby. My buddy Pete Fritz is on to talk about photography. Hey, Pete, thanks for coming to the show.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
I think this is going to be cool. So, here we got someone. Ahoy. Kayla says ahoy. Kayla's always there, super fan.
She's there every night.
Yeah. Without her, we would have one fan. For as of right now, we got the two. So before we get into the camera trivia, I wanted to, so Pete, when did you get into photography? Like seriously, because we all growing up where you get them from family members or whatever. When how old were you when you were like, this is what I want to do seriously, sort of?
I shot film. Actually, a kid that I went to junior and senior high school lived across the street from me, and his father had a little bit of a darkroom lab in his basement.
Yeah, and a lot of people had those.
Mm-hmm. So he could print black and white and do some stuff. So we played around there, but I didn't really have a camera of my own. And I don't know, a few years after that, out of high school, I ended up picking up a film DSLR, or not a D, SLR.
Yeah, SLR was before the D.
Yeah, and then I finally got a point and shoot probably soon after digital started coming out with like 4 megapixels or something crazy.
I remember I always felt like I wanted to take a lot of pictures, but I was always underwhelmed. And I was like, now obviously I know the problem, but back then I thought these cameras cannot capture these pictures that I see in magazines, because I didn't know jack shit about photography. Mm-hmm. And I was picking up these like little, Sony Cyber shots, which equate to like, 4 megapixels and some ungodly f-stop like f22 or whatever. So everything is just like, it always looks like garbage all the time. You don't know photography unless you have gotten your hands on like an interchangeable lens camera. If you haven't, then you don't know.
And when I first started shooting digital, then it was like totally different than film. Whenever I shot film, it was like you tried to be real careful with everything, because you had you had 24, 36 exposures. You wanted to get them right, and you couldn't tell they were right or wrong until you paid the money up front to get them developed.
Yeah.
Then you get them back, and you've got 12 black pictures.
Listen,
white ones, and
I admit up front that like if I were forced to shoot film, I would not shoot. Like if the caveat were like, here, like everything that I've become accustomed to is gone. Like there's no exposure meter. Like you're basically carrying a light meter around your neck and doing like, mathematician in your head instead of just having a camera full of computer bits that just does it all for you. There's no way. Like I would be still on the outside looking in, a longing idiot, on the outside being like, I wish I could do that, but there's no way. Like without computers, I
can't imagine. I don't have the patience for it now.
Yeah, like forget about the money and how you're buying packs of rolls of film and just blowing those, and keep in mind a good photographer has like a 5% success ratio for shooting, and forget all that. But like think about you want to get serious, you got to get your own dark room, and that is time out of your life, gonzo, my friend. Like you as soon as you like this studio here, as soon as you commit a room of your house to something, you are invested. And I don't think, I was number one too young for film to get invested to such a degree, but like using like dodging and burning is something I learned of after the digital era. So I don't have any like reference of people using like transparent smoked pieces of plastic to add like a ring or like a dark spot. Like it's all just digital, and I can take 1,000 pictures and delete all of them because it's like, who cares? They're free practically.
Yeah. That's what when I first started doing digital, then it was like, couldn't stop pushing the shutter button.
Oh yeah. You just
like,
go nuts.
Every time you take picture, you go out to take pictures, you'd come back with 400, 500 pictures. And then I got real tired of going through trying to,
that's the arc you go through.
All of them. And now I kind of try to shoot like I'm shooting film. I'm much more careful about trying to get the exposure I want and the framing and everything I want.
Yeah.
So if I go out on a hike or something, I'll come back with 100 pictures instead of 400 or 500 or 1,000.
That's something you may or may not learn quickly, because if you go out and you're like, yeah, I can shoot, like, and that's what everybody will tell you to do. Like all the like the teachers and all the photography experts say, go out, it's practically free, just, rapid fire pictures to get an idea of what you want. As soon as you get past that point, you drop that habit like a hot rock, because I got so tired of coming back from like, I don't know, 2 hours in the field with 750 photos to go over.
Yep, exactly.
And I would love a fair amount of them, but I was looking at 8 of the same image. And then I'm like, why did I do that? And I have to scroll through, and it's like, now I've got terabytes of images that I'll never touch. So I'm doing a lot of winnowing and getting all like, because like, every time I would set up the camera in whatever, my home studio, and take pictures, I'd rattle off 300 or 400 pictures of one thing, like a little Cthulhu statue, 300 or whatever. And I'm like, this is stupid. So it's one of those things where like when you get a fast car for the first time, as soon as you wreck, you're like, okay, let's take it easy. Oh man. So like, I've got some, maybe you have also done these, but like, I'm sure you've had your fair share of like gimmicky cameras, like, to point of reference here, my first gimmicky camera was a Christmas present that I got from a relative, and it was a little 35 millimeter, like point and shoot, whatever, Kodak. It was a Ninja Turtle camera though. So in like the actual body of the camera, there was a plastic like slide that would impose a picture of a Ninja Turtle on every photo you took. So
never had one of those.
All the photos, bar none, had Michelangelo in the corner giving a thumbs up. Like it was like grandma's making Thanksgiving dinner and Michelangelo's approving, or you accidentally take a snapshot of your toe and he's still pretty cool with it.
I had no idea they had those.
It was the weirdest thing. It was, it was a gimmick, but that was the thing. That's one of the seeds that planted like photography in my mind, because like just the fact, like after, whatever, the first month, I was just in shock that I could have Michelangelo in every picture. I was like, wait, this is actually annoying. And then you start looking at it, and like when I found out it was just that piece of plastic. So you start getting into it and you're like, oh, okay. So we're actually getting into the mechanics here. I think that was an interesting, it was garbage gift throwaway. It was probably like $8 at Walgreens, and it was bought at the last second, but it got the gears turning. Did you ever have like one of those weird like disc film cameras or anything like niche-y like that?
I never had one, but my parents had one. One of the disc films.
So do you have any like fond memories of it, or like did they bring it home and be like, this is the future?
No.
They should.
No fond memories. They were just a pain.
Yeah. I think that was probably like the nuttiest thing. Every time a company tries to like devise its own form of like media, it always goes down in flames eventually. Like
Sony Betamax.
Yes, Sony is the biggest perpetrator. Oh my god, remember the Sony Memory Stick? And my first digital
my
camera.
first point and shoot had it.
And that was the thing. It was like, oh yeah, I got the sweet camera. It was $200. 4 megapixels. I couldn't believe it. 4 megapixels, 4 million pixels.
Yeah.
I said to myself. And then the memory card, they give you like, oh, here's 8K of a memory stick, so you can take a picture and a half. Well, we sell you these. They're 4 times as much as flash cards. So sorry. Sucks. Sony sucks too. Like they suck to their customers, man, and they do it just for money.
I had issues with the battery in that camera too. It would hold a charge, and you'd charge. I had 2 or 3 batteries, and I couldn't go out for a day and without running out of power on all of them.
Yeah, it was always like that's what another thing that like made photography so like almost foreboding, because like that I remember getting like little cameras like Polaroids and stuff and having to like lug that around. And then you're left with like a gaggle of photos that, you never plan ahead. Everybody, like as a child, I think, oh, I'm going to take my Polaroid camera because it's the 80s and I'm going to take some Polaroid pictures. But you don't, as a child, conceptualize carrying this thing around the zoo all day and then having a growing collection of essentially garbage filling your pockets. Digital saved everything, man. And then, here we are. Everybody's a photographer. Thank God for smartphones. I think it's funny that whatever technology will do what it will, but I think it's funny that phones are trying so hard to look like DSLRs, like they're adding all this software and all this, like basically building up these cameras on the back end incredibly. Meanwhile, all the camera companies are like, yeah, technology. Well, we have lenses. Like we could put in some sort of computational algorithm to make your photo as good as it is on a smartphone, but enhanced by the fact that we have a giant sensor and a $7,000 lens on the, like what? Like Nikon and Sony and Canon should probably start thinking about that crap, man.
I think they even have lenses for phones.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
I've seen a bunch of them.
I feel like those are real gimmicky.
Yeah.
Just like
just looks weird.
Boy, you're never gonna get the same depth of field. Like no matter, I don't care how many people work on the algorithm. Fake bokeh looks fake to me. I can always spot it because there's always like a weird edge or something. Like you want it to be in camera, you want it to be optical, but with a smartphone, you're talking like millimeters. Yeah, millimeters between like lens and sensor. That's another thing that like is also strange to think about, because when you think of like your Nikon, like those big professional cameras or whatever, their sensor is as big as a 35 millimeter film slide. So for those uninitiated, if you have a full frame digital camera, it's based off that old standard, like a 35 millimeter photograph. And they say, well, this camera I'm shooting on right now, 20 megapixels or whatever, and this is a quarter of a full frame camera, 20 megapixels, and there are some phones that are like cramming like 28 into like something the size of a pinhead.
Yeah.
I think it's it's what, like, everybody's a photographer now and everybody's a videographer, and I think most people's problem is like the purists and the people who are being drugged slowly into the future via technology are like, but the old ways, which I kind of still feel, even though I never really had the old ways. I started digitally. I still like certain manual aspects of the art. But if you want to be on TikTok, you can't be dicking around with your camera all day. Like those Vine isn't the thing, but those YouTube videos, they aren't gonna like film themselves just because you have a sweet ass camera. So Pete, we got some trivia questions here about photography. I assume, hopefully, also about cameras and stuff.
We'll see.
So we need some team names. What is your team name, Pete?
Well, I normally shoot typically with zoom lenses, but I guess I'll have to go with prime time tonight to try to take out the champ here.
All right, so we got team prime time. I'm gonna be because I was gonna do something. Now I feel like I have to be on the offense. Okay, I'm gonna be one of my favorite focal lengths. We're gonna be Team Nifty 50, the fantastic plastic.
One I never hardly ever use.
I love. Listen, if we're gonna talk about focal lengths that we love, I love a 50 millimeter lens. It's like right behind it is my 85, because with a 50 you get context, and an 85 you can get across the street and people won't think you're weird for taking a picture of them. So we got Team Nifty 50 and Team Prime Time. Since Pete, you are the guest, I'll give you a first crack at it, but you better believe if you do not answer it, I'm coming after you.
I'm sure you will. You're the undefeated champ here, so
far. Tough. I mean, legend has it, no one's beaten me yet.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Krista.
All right, Pete. To bring objects into focus over a greater range of distances from near to far, one should do what?
From near to far? You got to speak up just a little bit, probably, too. I can barely hear you. I'm in the same room.
What?
So read it again.
Out.
A little.
To bring objects into focus over a greater range of distance from near to far, one should do what?
All right, Pete.
Get a greater depth of field.
Krista.
No.
I'm gonna say zoom in. You have to zoom in.
No.
I don't know. What is it?
Decrease the lens aperture.
Wait, what?
Look, that's
decrease the lens aperture. Read that question again.
To bring objects into focus over a greater range of distances.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, you're right.
That's going to get you a better depth of field.
Yeah. But so yeah, they will give you a better depth of field. But we were looking for.
You have to decrease the aperture to get.
Well, like closing. If I had said closing the f-stop and you said no, I would have blown my stack. Luckily, I'm not that smart. All right, Krista,
okay,
hit
David,
me.
What causes red eye?
The flash. What happens is the light from the flash will actually bounce around the inside of people's retinas and bounce back at the camera, and it's why cats and dogs have weird bright eyes and headlights.
That is correct.
Bing. That's a point for Nifty 50 right there. Team Nifty 50.
Team Nifty 50.
The fantastic plastic.
Okay, Pete. A rotating lens camera is used to do what?
Rotating lens camera.
Yeah.
A rotating lens. 3 a.m. fights also cause red eye.
It's true, Kayla.
I think 3 a.m. barfing into the toilet causes red eye. 3 a.m. fights cause black eye.
Flights.
Oh,
like
flights.
A red eye flight.
Oh, I'm so far away, Kayla. Give me a break here.
Oof.
I have no clue on that one.
Okay, read the question one more time, Krista.
A rotating lens camera is used to do what?
It would be like to quickly switch between different focal lengths, right? Like, is that?
No.
Do you want something more specific? Like to get? I don't know. I give up. We give up.
Take panoramic photos.
A what? What? What is going on here? What kind of lenses were they again? What's going on?
A rotating lens camera.
Rotating.
I've not heard of that.
Lens. Oh. Okay. Yeah. All right. Fine. Whatever. Moving on. Next. Who's up? Is it me?
Yes.
You.
Right.
What year was the Nikon F introduced?
The F mount?
The Nikon F is in the
like the film camera, like the Nikon F50 or whatever. The first
just
F.
Called an F.
So it was super early. I'm gonna say like the Nikon F. Oh God, because they were out for the war for a long time. I'm gonna say 62.
Incorrect.
Shit. What do you think,
I was
Pete?
going to say later than I was going to say 75.
Negative.
What is it?
1959.
See? Jesus. I knew it was old because that mount has been around, 90 years, a million years. And they just got rid of it for this new generation of mirrorless cameras. Thanks. I sometimes I'm bummed because Nikon is not performing to the way I'm hoping they would, being a Nikon fan, but I do not have the funds or the whatever to change lens ecosystems.
Oh.
Yeah, that all has to do with the physics of the distance between the
and I'm bummed.
focal point and the sensor.
I gotta find a way to get. I think every time I hit this table, it reactivates the annoying menu on this camera. I'm gonna find a way to make it float. More things in the studio to fix, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching.
Is it something to do with face recognition on that or something?
No, I think because it's every time I get too excited, I hit
it's always around your head.
Well, yeah, that's where I wanted the focus points to be. So you're basically seeing like behind the scenes. I push those buttons and I put that there. So now when my face is there, ding, that's where it's auto-focusing.
Ding.
I guess I could focus on this guy. He's one of my favorites. Anywho, well, who's up? What's going on?
I think it's Pete's turn.
Okay.
What was the name of Nikon's first budget line of cameras?
Budget.
Coolpix.
That
first digital maybe, but
yeah, that's the I don't know. That would have been my guess. What is it, Krista?
Nicorex.
Why don't we have any questions about the Minolta talker or anything? Like, how about something fun, for God's sake?
David.
The mind of Minolta had some really incredible, one incredible idea.
It's hard to find photography trivia that's like not some crazy thing with numbers and
yeah, it's a very niche as far as like what like
you could ask me, I could have given you them.
Yeah,
that's true.
But then that'd be cheating.
That's
not what we do here.
Somehow.
That's not what we do here at FFOP Studios. We're all above boards. I've never seen these questions before. You can tell because I'm annoyed when they're bad.
Yep.
All right, Krista, what do you got for me?
David, what year was the first color photograph taken?
Oh, God. It was like, if you want to talk about like the first time a guy projected a photo in color, it was like 1910. But if you're talking about color film, I assume it's film. Color photo.
It just says
okay.
First color
with
photograph.
No information. I'm gonna have to say like it was that German dude in 1910, like 1909. That's my answer. 1910.
Negative.
What was his name? I just watched a damn video on his ass.
I'll say 1914.
No, 1861.
Oh my God, that was way earlier than I thought.
Yeah.
Shit. I thought it was going to be like stupid later, and you're like 1951. I'm like,
No.
All right. Damn it. So that was probably, maybe there was somebody.
Matthew Brady doing Civil War pictures.
Yeah, well, there was this guy in Germany who, like, this, somehow struck upon the idea to take the red, the green, and the blue filters in front of the camera, and then bam, he did it. I just didn't realize it was so early. I thought it was like the early teens maybe at the latest. All right, who's up, Krista?
It is Pete. The ratio of an image's height to width is called the blank ratio.
You got to know this, Pete. Huh? You don't know this?
No.
All right, I'm about to steal it from you, and you're going to feel pretty upset about it because it's the aspect ratio.
Yeah.
Nifty 50 gets a point. The aspect ratio. I think here's an interesting little sniglet of information for you. So a micro 4/3 camera, which is what I'm filming on right now, micro 4/3. So you think, okay, it's 4/3 the size of whatever, or it's like 4:3 aspect ratio. There's a million different reasons why everyone thinks it's like 4/3, because 4:3 is the aspect ratio, but it has nothing to do why it's called micro 4/3. It actually goes back to some crazy thing that like probably around the same time the first color photograph was, but They were like, "Oh, it's actually not." I watched this whole video, and at the end of it, I was like, "I am forgetting this because I don't care, and it's also stupid. Just say it's 4:3 ratio. No one's gonna like quiz you on it except me, and I don't even care anymore. I lost the information. Micro four thirds.
Oy.
All right, is it for me now?
Yes.
All right, hit me.
The amount of light or darkness on a photograph is known as the what?
Exposure.
Yes.
Nice. On a photograph. These are all weirded funny.
Yeah.
Like if they were weirded, if they were worded less weird, it would make more sense, I think.
Probably.
That's the thing about photography is all their crazy, like, I don't know why like depth of field is a thing. I don't know why like ISO is a thing. I don't know why a lot of their stuff is a thing. You just sort of have to take it because it's been there since the beginning. Like as long as there have been dudes standing behind boxes with lenses on the front, it's always been the same crap. And you know, you lose sight of the why, I guess. He's just sort of, I guess. That's why I never remember it because it always seems so like old-timey and counterintuitive.
I don't get any of it.
It's all weird. It's all crazy. It's like learning a different language, but it's almost like English. It's like Angrish. It's like angry English, where it's like you kind of get what's going on, but it's frustrating.
That makes sense. Yeah.
At least you don't have to carry around the big wooden boxes.
Oh, for real? Yeah.
Mhm.
Holding still for a minute? I don't think so.
No. Okay, Pete.
Okay.
What is the shutter speed measured in?
What is it measured in?
Yeah.
Fractions of seconds.
Yeah, I'll say like if this is one of those ones that's worded weirdly and it's like stupid, but yeah, it's like it's well, you know, depending on your exposure, you can do a long exposure. You can open the shutter and walk away. It doesn't matter. I mean, it does, but it doesn't care. Okay, go ahead.
It's the score.
What do we got?
Team Nifty 50 so far has 3.
Nice.
Team Primetime has 1.
So far, I'm not worried about the studio's reputation.
Okay, David.
Okay.
What is the unit of measurement for light in photography?
The unit for measurement of light, is it lumens? No. What do you mean for light? It's not okay. This is probably not it, but like when dealing with exposure and light on your camera, it is controlled by the ISO. So is it just ISO?
No.
I don't know. I give up. Pete?
It's another one of the weirdly phrased questions.
Probably.
Yeah, say it one more time.
What is the unit of measurement for light in photography?
The unit of measurement of light. I don't know. ISO 100, 200? I don't know. What are we talking about?
Are you going to take a guess, Pete, or no?
He doesn't know either. We're both confused.
I'll pass.
Stops?
Oh, God damn it. Yeah, Jesus. But that's more than just light. You can go up a stop in like your aperture. You can go up or down a stop in your shutter speed. Like that's just
everything's connected. You can change.
Yeah, everything's a stop. So I guess technically yes, but shitty wording.
Man. Write the people who made these questions.
Who are they?
I don't know.
I'm writing my congressman.
Do it. Okay, Pete. If a shutter speed is 1/100th, what is twice as quick?
1/50th.
Yeah.
Whew. Not bad. Not bad.
What?
That borders on a math trivia question, but I'll allow it. Because I'm that kind of guy.
David.
Yeah. Okay.
What is the abbreviation for DSC?
DSC? I don't know what that is. DSC? I have no idea. I don't know. Pete, what do you know what DSC is an abbreviation for?
No.
What is it?
Digital still camera.
What?
Never heard that one.
No, that's stupid. You'd call it a DSLR or an SLR or a mirrorless because it is the future.
Oh, future.
I swear to God, this box around my face is so infuriating. It makes me want to
Oh, it went away.
flip this
It
table.
went away.
Yeah.
I know, but as soon as I touch the table again, it's going to happen again. Just when I least expect it. Oh, okay.
Okay, Pete. What does ISO stand for?
This might be a trick.
I don't think so.
Well, if it's in regards to a camera, it might be a trick. Either that or you got the wrong answer.
Uh,
But we'll see if Pete knows. If he gets this as a trick question, that will gain some points here.
Kayla says ISO stands for Truth, Justice, and the American Way.
ISO was the rip-off song, the rip-off answer song to Me So Horny. It was ISO Horny. All right, Pete. What do you got? Nothing?
just the measurement of light gathering ability of the sensor, but I don't know what ISO stands for.
So ISO doesn't stand for shit unless we are talking about the International Standardization Organization. ISO, when it pertains to a camera, does not mean anything. It is a word.
Well, it was on. This question was on a photography.
I am going to call Tony and Chelsea Northrup because they are geniuses in photography. And I have watched literally, this is no joke, literally half a dozen videos on ISO. And ISO doesn't stand for shit. You got to look it up right now on your damn magic television box over there. If you look up, it's a one word, 3-letter, all capitalized for some reason. ISO. That's a point. I'll link. Here's what I'll do. I'll link to that video in the description of this video if I remember.
Well, whatever. It was on a photo.
You should have. See, look, I moved the mic and it made the thing go. I'm so annoyed. I can't not touch the mic, so there's no way. I've got to go like a jib arm or something hanging from the ceiling. This is driving me crazy.
I can tell. It probably isn't bothering anybody else.
It is. Look, the chat is blowing up. People are so upset. There's thumbs downs happenings. And for people who come here after the live stream, you have to take this at face value. I'm telling the truth. All right, who's up next? Is it Pete?
No, that was me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. What do you got?
David, what was the first 5-megapixel camera in the US?
The first 5-megapixel camera? I'm going to say, oh my God. I hope it was the Nikon like D4.
No.
Shit. I don't know, Pete. What do you got? 5 megapixels.
That was nothing. That was like, I think that Sony point and shoot that I had was like 6.
Yeah, but
that was-
are we talking about consumer or pro? Because like if it's the first consumer, that's way different than the first pro camera. Because like literally the Nikon D3, their flagship tank monster camera, D3, 3 megapixels, something like that, something small. So are we talking? Here's
I'll say
Look.
D50.
point of order, the D50. Krista.
It's the Minolta 7. Minolta D7.
Oh, Minolta. Yeah, you forget about Minolta. Those
Mhm.
bastards. See that? Okay, here's another example of doing your stuff your own way and getting screwed over for it. Minolta had that thing where they had their own hot shoe, and they're like, "Hey, buy Minolta cameras. You know the name Minolta. It's got to be Minolta. Oh, P.S. You're gonna buy all of our crap too because we made this insane hot shoe that nobody likes, by the way, and nobody can find anymore." And then Sony came along and was like, you know what? That's a decision we love. And they bought Minolta and they integrated their shitty hot shoe into their cameras. It was the stupidest, like, the memory stick and then the fucking hot shoe. It's all garbage. Why would you do that? Anyway, who's the?
This is
Pete?
the last question.
Ooh, shit. What's the score?
It
This
is
is a rough one.
Team Nifty 50 has 4.
Whew.
Team Primetime has 2.
Whew. All right. I'm pretty confident in this game, Pete. I don't want to jinx it, but I feel pretty confident. So I'll let Pete the question first.
Okay. What two companies use the same lens mount on some of their current digital cameras? Two companies.
This is a tricky one. Just two? Well, yeah, because I guess Fuji has their own. So, okay. All right, Pete. This is a curveball. If you get this one, I'll give you the 2 points to tie with me. It's a dog in your laboratory.
In the other room.
All right, Pete. What do you think? What do you think? I got a strong leaning, but I could be wrong too.
I'll say Sony and Canon, but
no,
because Canon has the whatever theirs used to be.
They have weird stuff.
The
question was some of their.
Yeah, well, I think because they just moved to the R mount. If I am right, we're talking Lumix and Olympus because they're both Micro Four Thirds, and that's been standardized since the 30s.
Nope, you got Olympus right.
Olympus, and well, who else does Micro Four Thirds?
Sony and Olympus.
No,
they didn't use the Micro Four Thirds, did they? Now, Sony would never, even if it was public domain, they would never use somebody else's idea when they could bilk people out of their own stupid ideas. Okay, so Olympus and who? It's not Fuji, is it?
No.
Okay.
It is Panasonic.
Oh God! Yeah, obviously. I said Lumix, didn't I?
Yes.
Fucking idiot! This is a Panasonic camera. Panasonic and Olympus are Micro Four Thirds. I am a genius, but I messed up a little bit. So I want to give myself half credit, so we'll make that 4.5. My heart was in the right place, viewers. If you're watching this and are outraged. Yeah, the chat's blowing up again, obviously. Yeah. Something's going on.
Uh-huh.
This is a really controversial show that I don't think we're ready to check in with something so many hot takes.
All of them.
So, Pete, where do you want or where do you think photography is going? Do you think we're eventually just going to lose freestanding camera bodies?
I don't think it's going to be anytime soon.
No, I don't think anytime soon, but they're definitely just look at my Nikon Z6 versus the D800. You've got this huge monster. They're I'm surprised they haven't done this sooner, make things slimmer. But, when you've got a legacy of these mounting, these lens bayonet systems, I can see why you wouldn't want to.
Don't want to mess with it too much.
Yeah, like the guy who's been married since 1938 doesn't wake up in 1992 and be like, I can do better. It's been working, so let's stick with that shit. That's what he says. That's what
they want to keep it. The ergonomics of the grip and everything is so everybody's comfortable trading up to the latest and greatest.
I think after a while, I think they'll just be appealing to purists or whatever. But then again, every time I look up camera reviews, YouTube is always quick to remind me that there is a growing group of Generation Z turds that are all shooting on film. And I'm like
hipster people.
They can have it.
That's my thing. I'm knock yourself out, man. There's someone actually locally who's actually out there and advertising, and they're like, yeah, I only shoot 35 millimeter film. And I want to be like, is that worth your time? Here's the thing. If I go out on a photo shoot and someone's paying me for my time, I can blast off 1 million photos because I know that when I get back to my PC, I'm only editing a couple. I'm not having to pay for roll after roll after roll. And then do you pass that on to your schmuck of a client who's one of the hipsters who's yeah, please do it on film. And then do you give him the little the negatives afterwards? I'd rather have give me an SD card, email me a JPEG. I don't want to go somewhere and be it'll be $200 for the session, and here I'll snip out the shots I used so you can have some nice wallets, and then these washed out little negatives that you'll lose in a matter of seconds.
Where do you even get stuff developed anymore? Who develops film?
There are still places that do it for. I assume now they've mostly like retooled for like movie film, but there are still places that like not. I don't want to say artisanal because it's not like they're out in the hills of Naples with a herd of goats artisanally developing film. It's like these big companies, but it does seem strange to me that like I guess it's not that strange because every hobby has a rabbit hole, and photography is so deep that if you wanted to, you could shoot film, have it professionally processed by people getting paid dozens of dollars an hour to look over your cruddy snapshots and only pass on the best of the best.
It's crazy.
Or you could buy a digital camera, forget about it because you're never going to use it, and then wake up one day and be like, my life, and you're 90.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, though. Like here's the thing that I think people are now like really taking for granted, since everybody has infinite ammo in their camera, which is on their phone. It's, I don't know. When the Beatles came, they were the big thing, and then everybody wanted to be like the Beatles, and they got watered down. It was garbage. So I think we're in that point where like the art form has been flooded with the masses, and everyone's like, yeah, I got a camera, I've got infinite potential, blah 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 blah, but they don't really take into account like lighting or framing or like the perfect spiral and stuff. Whatever, the rule of thirds. And some people just accidentally land on it. And I hate those people because those are the type of people who you're like, hey, everybody's done this where you want to share a hobby with somebody. You say, here, take my crappy old secondhand whatever while we go experience my hobby. And then they knock your ass in the dirt because they're so much better than you right off the bat with your shitty old equipment and you've been doing it for years. That's the thing that'll chap your ass, my friend. Oh, boy.
Or they come up and they say, that's a nice camera. I bet it takes good pictures.
Yeah, because that's all it takes. Thank you.
Yeah. Then you say to them, yeah, I've taught it everything it knows.
Yeah. That's one of the but that's human nature. People are wowed by size. So if you're walking around with a like dedicated camera, that's already puts you in like a weirdo bracket because it's like, what? You're not using your phone? But then you jump into like the professional stuff and everybody like you might as well be like tattooed from head to toe and like bifurcated your tongue for the amount of looks that I get like walking through the zoo, just like with a regular old 70-300 on there. It's just like, oh my God, did you see that guy? He's got a thing with a sub. That's a big camera.
He's got a picture maker.
Yeah, and then as soon as you like aim it at somebody or anywhere, they all scatter. Like everyone is in awe of it, but doesn't want to ever get in front of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, like
well, like cameras, people take selfies like on the reg. So
yeah,
it's different. You could just delete that.
Yeah, imagine, just think, like before COVID and everything, like when you would go out to dinner or whatever, and people were like rowdy and you're having a good time or whatever, and people are taking pictures. Imagine how many pictures you are inadvertently in on the internet right now, just like photobombing somebody's selfie, or just because you happen to be at an Italian restaurant enjoying a glass of wine when some bitch turned 35 and brought her 8 friends, and then you're just like blowing up. So it something about having a dedicated picture taking device makes people super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like when I was looking for models and stuff, when I had free time, I'd say, hey, let's take some pictures. They'll take selfies all day and night. Like they will pose for their own camera. But when it's an actual, like just a camera, they're like, oh God, you can't make a phone call on that or whatever. Like there's no Facebook on it. People lose their shit.
Well, and I think a lot of it too is they have the control of their phone themselves taking the selfie. Or
I don't think that's it. I think it's the lens. I think it's visceral. I think when you get you get this huge eyeball of glass pointed at you, you're like, whoa, this is weird. Because like on a phone,
serious.
Yeah, on a phone, it's a pinhole. And basically you're just looking at the back of somebody's phone or the screen so you see your face. If someone is pointing, like when I take my 85 out, I'm sure that's intimidating, but someone's pointing like, 3 inches of glass at you, you're like, ugh, it's a little like, so I get it.
Yeah.
But it's still annoying when I'm trying to take your picture, you idiots. Just be normal, I tell people on the street. I said, there's a street photography. Be normal. And they, I try to, tug on them to make them act like I want them to, and they end up running off.
You do you do real well with your street photography, though. You have good luck with getting models for that. I mean, willing and able people.
You've really got to.
You need to drag me along one of these times. Street,
you really got to be committed. Here's the thing, like street, you're basically, taking pictures of people in the raw. You're a nature photographer, so the less conspicuous you can be, the better. But you also don't want to get spotted because you will spook them like a school of starling. They people get so spooked. Like I'll be out, obviously not anymore, but like back in the day when I was doing street, like in downtown Gilbert or whatever, there'd just be people having fun, eating ice cream, drinking booze or whatever. As soon as one dude lays eyes on that camera I got, everybody stiffens up like they just got, they just sat on a broomstick. And I'm gonna be like, hey, guys, just chill. Just chill out. We're all having fun. You just see this giant glass bulb floating around. Doesn't mean you got to be weirded out.
You just have to bring like a giant bush and surround yourself with it and just walk.
Here's the tactic that I use all the time now because it works 100% of the time. If you dress up like a tourist, people will give zero shits about what you do. You get yourself a loud ass shirt. You get yourself like your
flamingo shirt.
Yeah. That's what I used to take out. I would get my loudest pink flamingo shirt. I would put on like my craziest Ray-Ban sunglasses. I never go out in shorts because I'm not a barbarian, but sometimes I'd go into like some dirty shoes or like, I'd bring a backpack. So I was like, oh, and like, really play up the fact you're like looking around. And it's like, oh, like in my head, I've every time I go out, I devise a little more of this character where he's like this interesting German fellow who came to America to take pictures and now he wanders the Southwest, and that's me. And so when I aim at people, I think, yeah, they'll never catch me because I'm going back to Germany. And if you devise these characters, you can kind of get over the nerves of taking pictures of strangers in public.
That is hilarious.
It helps. There was just an article released saying if you have an alter ego, it makes you more confident. So I mean, not that my alter ego is anything special. He's just a German tourist, but he gets the job done.
That's true.
And he gets to see the world like through different eyes. Like if I look at something and I'm me, I'm like, that sucks. But if I'm Hans, the German tourist, just here to see America, I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
In an American accent. Huh.
Well, I say it in my head. I can't say it out loud because then the jig is up.
Yeah.
I think I might, next time I go out, I'll put like a German flag on my backpack.
Oh my God.
Then people hardcore ignore me. Like if they can peg you down like as a genuine out of towner, they will definitely like.
What if somebody's so drunk and they start talking to you?
That's fine, but like imagine like here's the thing when you go to Disneyland or whatever and you see the little. This is stereotypical, obviously, and it's gonna sound whatever, but like you see the little stereotypical Asian family and the dude with the camera, he's something you put up with because he's something that's made themselves like they are out in the wild, like a little Asian photographer at Disneyland. Mm-hmm. He can snap 1 million pictures of you, and I guarantee you would not care.
Yeah,
because they have made that that niche for themselves. So. But it's not just Asian. That's like the easiest example. Any tourist, because they're there to soak up and be in the way of everybody who's actually trying to get their job done or whatever. So people will just check you out. They will mark you off as absent and they will shuffle by you and you can snap as many pictures in their face as you want because they're like, yeah, whatever. Get back to Venezuela or, have a nice time in France when you get back. They don't care. They're, tourists.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, yeah.
It works every time. I'm telling you. If someone does like get wise and they start like staring me down, I'll like look at my watch and be like, oh, I don't know. And like, and it usually softens them right up and I go right back to shooting them again.
Oh my God.
Maybe we should go to places like Grand Canyon and just kind of follow the tourist buses around and like we're part of the crowd.
I've got a fanny pack. We could blend right in. I'll wear this jacket. and everyone will completely ignore us. And like we could have so many cameras firing off so many shots, it could sound like, the landing at Normandy with all the clicks happening, and no one would care. I guarantee, because everybody wants to ignore a tourist.
You should wear one of those like turtleneck sweaters that have like all the different colored stripes on them,
or
like
something. You have to. It has to be like immediate. Like you want to be Poison Dart Frog. You want someone to look at you and immediately dismiss you. You don't want to have any sort of ambiguous. You want someone to look at you. They'll see like a Canadian flag on your backpack. Boom, immediately dismissed. Now it's free game.
You need that blazer with like a plaid button-up shirt underneath it.
Yeah, something. The more obnoxious you dress, the more people ignore you.
And your glasses, your reading glasses.
One of the things that sometimes helps and sometimes doesn't. Like I used to take Elliot out and do street photography, and sometimes you'd get a pass because you were a dude with a baby, and sometimes they were like, "What?" and I'd be like, and run off. So that's the thing. I couldn't. My German persona was rendered useless because I couldn't say I'm a tourist and this is my tourist baby. That's unbelievable, because they'd say, well, where's the mom? And I say, well, she's back in Bavaria. And by then they obviously know that I have no accent and the jig is up again. So I have to run as fast as I can with that runner stroller. Oh my gosh. Well, good news, Pete. I won. The studio's record is intact, but I do appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Pleasure being here.
This was fun. I really enjoy talking about cameras, and I think that the more like weird stuff we can throw out on this channel, get people interested. I think maybe part of everyone's problem lately in being so angry is you need to find a hobby. You're stuck inside. Get yourself a hobby, because photography is something you can do inside.
Yeah.
Like it's annoying because you need a lot of light, so it can get dicey. But it's completely something you never have to like leave the house to do, and it's super low impact mostly. So if you've taken nothing away from this, gentle viewers, don't waste your money on like. Okay, here's maybe before we wrap up, I'm gonna ask you one last question, Pete. So this extends beyond photography. How do you handle a new hobby? Do you jump in, get the starter pack, and wait and see if you like if it sparks something and it blows up and you want to spend all your money on it? Or do you jump in right away at the top shelf and hope that you do? Or do you start in the middle and hope you don't outgrow the shit that you just bought immediately?
In the past, I probably have been jumping in on the high end as much as I could. Because I typically would have researched it enough to know that I'm pretty sure I'm going to want to do it more, or I'm going to get into it.
That's an important part.
I want to go into it as well armed as I could.
Yeah.
No matter what it was.
See, that's the thing I think that nobody really thinks. Like when I jump into something, I always bypass like the lowest tier, like the entry level garbage of whatever the hobby is, because it's going to set you up for failure in two ways. It's either going to set you up for failure because the starter kit you got is of lower quality, because obviously it's just there as a gateway drug to get you into whatever, so it may suck and it'll ruin you immediately. Or you really get into it, realize you've wasted money on this thing, and you realize it's crap, have to throw it away and start fresh with something good. Hobbies are like, it's like hobbies are this huge rolling green meadow with dandelions, and there's rabbits everywhere, and there's a rainbow, and you just walk out into it, you pick a place and you start digging, man. If you don't like that hole, you can move left or right, but it's still a hole and you're going to bury yourself in it. Oh my God. And then you'll try and climb your way out by making a ladder out of money, and that just catches on fire. All right, Pete. Well, once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. It was fun talking about photography. We will definitely have to go out and do some shooting.
Got to go to that place up in Globe.
Yeah, we got to go to Globe. Maybe when things are cooler and I can trust that people will stay far enough away that even, whatever. We can do some street photography. Like, I wouldn't mind doing any of that, but like, people here are still bananas. My least favorite fruit, and it's hot, so we'll see what happens. All right, guys.
Yep.
So everybody, once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for dealing with me, and I hope you learned something. But you know, let's be realistic. You probably didn't, because let's be real, 15 questions, right? 4 right answers. You probably didn't learn
less
anything.
than half of them.
Yeah, you probably didn't learn anything, because I didn't have anything to teach you, unless you believe me about the ISO thing, which you will if you do even a little research. All right, guys. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.
Hey, talk to you later, Dave.
Yes, I want to end the live stream.